101 Reporters has been accepting story pitches for their series The Promise of Commons. Many of you pitched and in fact published the story with us. To understand the series better, we have put together this video description. Let's begin with what is the series about. The Promise of Commons series will capture how we can preserve natural resources, which belong to everyone, by coming together as a community. It will capture stories which tell how common resources can be saved when the common citizens join hands and look for a solution. This could be with or without government support. What exactly strikes you when you hear the word common resources? Think of all the resources which do not belong to any one person or a private entity. Groundwater, grasslands, wastelands, pastures, rivers, mountains, forests, ponds. All these natural resources belong to you as well as me, and equally it belongs to anybody in this country. One cannot stop another person from utilizing them, and also no one can stop anyone from preserving them, keeping them safe for themselves and their future generations. The judicious use of shared public resources helps the ecosystem as well as the communities inhabiting them. This is exactly where the promise of commons comes into picture. If a community has worked collectively to take care of such shared resources in the region they live in, which has directly resulted in livelihood opportunities, that will be a great POC story. Let me give you some examples to explain what exactly are we looking for. A village in Madhya Pradesh, Paratsinga, used to cultivate only one type of cotton because it required less water for irrigation. The village had low groundwater levels and irrigation was a challenge for the people. With the help of an expert and community, the whole village came together to turn a marshland into an irrigation pond. They hired earth movers to dig the pond, pitched in the money collectively, and finally had a pond to store rainwater to facilitate the irrigation. The impact was so massive that they started cultivating a diversity of crops, including millets, peanuts, eggplants, gourds, and whatnot. The groundwater table also improved and the area started thriving with biodiversity. A joint effort of villages brought a massive change for the environment as well as the inhabitants of the region. This is the promise of commons. Let me share another story of our series. A village in Tamil Nadu minimized the catastrophic impact of tsunami in 2004 because of the mangroves forest of the area. Later, when MS Swaminathan Research Foundation started a mangrove forest for the tribals, they lobbied the forest department to get fishing rights for this Irula tribe. In return for the fishing rights, the Irulas were mandated to plant and protect the mangrove plantations, and they were trained for the same. The story talks about the partnership of Swaminathan Foundation and the Irula community for preservation of mangroves, a classic case of ecological benefits along with enhanced livelihoods. A complete check for POC series. I hope the examples would have given you an idea of what this series is about and what kind of pitches would be best accepted. For this project, we look beyond the transformation. Tell us why the community worked hard for the natural resource. What were the steps? What challenges remain and how they plan to tackle it? Tell us how rejuvenating just one resource has benefited their lives overall, their livelihood, their quality of life, and the ecology of the region. Now let's also talk about what would not be a POC story. If the story is about one individual magically changing the fortune of a village or community, it will not be a promise of common story, because we want to focus on impacts of collaborations. We want to hear stories about community efforts bringing a positive change. What we do not want is to make a hero out of one person. A focus on women is a bonus and a big plus. The series focuses on implementation of initiatives and not point fingers. If your pitch is about a gap in policy or scheme implementation, have a take on it which will talk about community initiatives taken to fill that gap. The topics you can explore are the series will cover positive stories. If you have spotted a story which fits what we described, pitch it to us. We are accepting text-based as well as video stories. Click on the link to understand the pitching guidelines regarding word count, pay, and deadlines.